Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, April 13th, 2014. I somehow managed to pick up a little bit of a spring cold, so I'm just a touch under the weather. Please forgive me if I'm not quite as peppy as I usually am, but I enjoyed Y&R this week, and it's strange because I spent so many years feeling almost neutral about Billy and Victoria, and now that they're breaking up, I'm so into it, and I'm so sad, and I'm so compelled by their story. I don't know what happened and what turned me around, but this week, Billy confronts Victoria about what she was doing with Stitch. He heard the rumor about her going off with him drunk, and just as I think we all knew, Victoria tells Billy everything. Of course she wasn't going to hide the truth. There's a part of me that wonders if she wanted him to know, or she was okay with letting him know that she did to him kind of what he did to her, and that it's, if he can do it, she can do it. She told him everything. It was very heartfelt, very sad. I mean, she included everything up to and including that she saw he and Kelly in the park together, and that was her last straw that kind of pushed her into Stitch's arms. And now Billy is realizing that his wife is kind of moving on. He thought his strategy was going to be give her space, just try to maybe work on making myself better, and in the meantime she slept with another man. So what now? He asks her. You know, where are we even? Where do we go from here? And Victoria was so quick to point out that, oh, there is a difference between what you did and what I did. When I slept with Stitch, we were legally separated. That's the difference, Billy. And I tell ya, that made me suspicious of her a little bit. I kind of felt like she was trying to retain the upper hand with Billy and keep a moral justification by making sure that she was legally separated by him when she went off and did her dirty. Like, that's her moral justification for her infidelity. They were legally separated. Did you guys get that feeling at all? It made me suspicious of her, and she was the one that was pushing for this legal separation. And why not a divorce? Why not just jump right to the divorce? To me, it's starting to almost make Victoria look like she kind of wanted to have the affair with Stitch, but she wanted to keep the upper hand in her relationship with Billy. She obviously still loves him. We saw that scene last week where she didn't want to take off her wedding ring. So I'm questioning Victoria's motives here. I think she's very confused and very emotional, and I don't think that she's necessarily doing any of this intentionally to hurt Billy or maybe even to hurt Stitch. I just think she's confused and is maybe for one of the first times in her life or in a rare moment in her life just sort of acting out of emotion. Normally Victoria is more reserved, more calculating, and this is, I think, her just reacting to this huge change in her universe. Billy wasn't horribly angry. He seemed to somewhat understand. You almost would have expected him to want to hit something, but he kind of he put his tail between his legs a little bit and sort of went into puppy dog mode and started saying, well, you know, I understand. This is just the latest in a long line of me disappointing you, batting his eyes, giving his best puppy dog look, because I think that's what has always gotten him back into her good favor before. Let's face it, this is not the first time that Billy has screwed up. If he would have tried to get on a high horse and justify his actions, it would have been over right then and there. But it always seems like if he kicks up a little bit of dust and puts his head down, she feels like, you know, she wants to rescue him or help him, which is sort of the nature of how their relationship has been. And she kind of wants to help him up and maybe take him back. And Victoria actually said to him, you know, I would love to take you back. There's nothing I would love more than to take you back, but I don't know that anything would end up differently this time. I'm afraid that we would just end up right back at the same point. So she tells Billy she's going to have Avery draw up the papers, which I don't know. Did that mean that she was going to file the legal separation papers, or that they're going to draw up the divorce papers? But again, I ask, what was the point of the separation, Victoria? Because I don't know if you guys are kind of getting this vibe too, but is there any way that Victoria kind of did that so that she could sleep with Stitch and find out if he was worth ending her marriage? Stitch comes into the coffee house with guns blazing, and he confronts Kelly, just gets all up in her face. It seems like slowly but surely we're starting to see Stitch unravel. When he first came onto the show, he was just such a nice doctor man with a great smile and a nice personality, and now we're starting to maybe see glimpses of something darker in him. And Kelly, I guess for a large part of this whole weirdness, whatever happened, the backstory between Kelly and Stitch, I've kind of thought maybe everybody's just overreacting about Stitch. Maybe Stitch did something and they're blaming him for it, and he's not really hugely to blame. But now I'm starting to wonder. Kelly reveals this week when she's arguing with Stitch that she told his wife, she's the one that told his wife about whatever it was that he did, and then later in the week said something to him like, you killed a man, you're a murderer, your son is better off without you. I can't think of what circumstance it would be that would make him such a monster that everyone would say your son doesn't even deserve to be around you, and the mother, his son's mother, has taken him out of the country. So whatever it is, it's super severe, you guys. But I don't know what. Aaron Brody had commented on my YouTube video last week that maybe it had something to do with his time in Afghanistan. I think that's a good theory, because I think we've been focusing on maybe did it have anything to do with Delia, but he does have that. He shares that dark history with Dylan, so maybe something happened during his wartime. But still, what could be so bad that he shouldn't be taken away from his child and his family? I have no idea. You guys let me know if you know more or if you have some other theories. I'm interested. Billy is interested too. He remembered that Stitch had alluded to having done something really bad, and so Billy's on to this. He wants to know what it is, wants to know what Stitch's secret is, considering the fact now that he's involved with his wife. So again, I ask you, is it possible that Stitch is actually a bad guy? Is Stitch a bad guy? I think we've been giving him the benefit of the doubt, but is there any way he could end up hurting Victoria? I mean, he's a murderer. I don't know. If he was a real, if he was a criminal murderer, wouldn't he be in jail? Maybe he got away. I don't know. But is Victoria in danger is my question for you here. I don't know. Kelly seems to think so, and I don't know. Should I trust what Kelly is saying? Kelly and Jack have this dinner date. It is so totally clearly becoming romantic, and I don't even think it's just to the audience. I feel like both Jack and Kelly, in the back of their minds at least, know that it's kind of a flirty thing. Jack ends up having to tell Billy that he's gonna have dinner with his former mistress, and Billy's not happy about it, and I don't blame him. Billy had this big reaction like, what are you thinking, Jack? And it kind of jogged me into realizing, yeah, I get it. I mean, if Jack started getting involved with a woman he had an affair with that ended up destroying his marriage, yeah, that's kind of awkward. It really is. Jack sort of didn't think that there was any reason to get really upset about it, but I was getting Billy's point. He's trying to get Kelly out of his life, not back into his life in just another sort of way. Ultimately, Jack kind of talks his way out of it, and Billy gives him his blessing. Billy needs to be more concerned about the fact that Victoria and Stitch are straight up dating now. I mean, complete with he brought her flowers, and then they go out to a restaurant to have dinner. Of course, Victoria and Stitch show up at the same place that Jack and Kelly are having their dinner, and it's awkward between them, and Victoria and Stitch decide to leave the restaurant, go back to her place. It is so weird. He knows this is Billy's family home, and he's this outsider in it. It does feel weird, and I know Victoria feels weird about it too, because here they are having takeout burgers in the living room, and instead of her husband being there on the couch next to her, it's some stranger. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's a stranger. What do we really know about him? I don't think we've spent a lot of time with Victoria and Stitch talking to each other. It was sort of like him propping her up for whatever was going on in her marriage, and then boom, sex. I don't think they've spent a whole lot of time really talking about their backstory and who they are. So here's this stranger sitting on the couch next to her. He falls asleep, and this other thing too, it's like he's tired because he's a doctor, and everybody assumes just because he's a doctor, maybe he's a good guy, you know? And maybe he's not. Maybe Stitch is not a good guy. I'm looking at it in a different way. So anyway, Victoria and Stitch are on the couch. Stitch passes out. He's just like sleeping where he's sitting. And you know, of course, Billy has to come by to drop off a present for Johnny's birthday. And he sees them right there together, right on the couch, of course. Now that Adam's body has been ID'd, I mean, we all know that this is not true, that Adam Newman is alive and well somewhere, but Chelsea and Victor believe that Adam is dead, and they're letting this news wash over them. He's gone. It's been weeks and weeks of not really knowing what happened to him, and now the body has been found, and they're having to accept this reality. So Chelsea and Victor are in his office mourning when Jack stops by. He's wanting to gloat about Bonaventure. Apparently Victor had to go to DC and answer some questions, so Jack's like wanting to get the scoop on how that went, and Jack learns the information that Adam's body has been found. And I enjoyed having this moment of Jack and Victor and Chelsea in the office, all kind of having that moment of mourning that we've been waiting for. I mean, there hasn't been any closure on the Adam situation that we went through as fans, that they went through on the screen. So it was, I appreciated it. I appreciated just seeing Chelsea kind of giving both Victor and Jack a sort of hug and a kiss, and like, thanks for being there for me. And Victor and Jack eventually agree that they're not going to fight for Connor. I think we predicted as fans that probably Adam's death was going to make Victor and Jack pull out the guns and go at it over the kid, but Chelsea's obviously a good mother, a good caring mother. They agree that Connor belongs with his mother. It's like the one thing they actually do agree on. And Jack decides, it was weird at the very end of that whole sequence of events. Jack goes back to his office, and he has a petition for guardianship that he is holding in his hand. And I'm guessing, I don't know if at one point he was thinking about really enforcing that guardianship that he has as the godfather, but it seemed like it was Jack's way of saying, I'm not going to pursue this. I'm going to kind of put it away. It is what it is. Adam is gone. Victor's having a similar moment. The other thing, he's like looking at Adam's nameplate, realizing that it's gone, and maybe it's time to put it in the drawer and move on. I did think, though, that there was an interesting moment before Victor and Jack separated where Jack feels like he was Adam's father in a way, and in a lot of ways more so than Victor. So there's this moment where Jack's kind of blaming Victor for everything that went wrong, and I thought Victor had a really really interesting argument, just leaning into Jack and saying, you know, you tell me if you would have done anything different. You tell me if you would have found out what your son did, would you necessarily have gone and run and told everyone? Would you have wanted to be the one to ruin Chelsea's life, to ruin Connor's life? And it sort of jogged me back into realizing that Victor kind of did have a point, maybe it wasn't entirely morally wrong that he didn't run around sounding the horn telling everybody when he found out about what Adam did, but at the same time, he didn't have to blackmail him either. Avery wants to turn down doing this cooking show that she's been offered to do pro bono work for the Innocence Foundation instead. She's struggling between two worlds. She is a lawyer. She enjoys fighting for people's rights who have been wrongly accused, but at the same time, having a cooking show is kind of an interesting little carrot being dangled in front of her, and she wants to just sink back into her comfort zone and do the lawyer thing, but Dylan is really trying to give her the hard sell that maybe she can do both. Maybe she can have it all, do this cooking show. So this big shot TV producer is supposed to be coming to Genoa City to do a screen test for her. And I'm really loving the idea of Avery having a cooking show. It sounds like they're going to film it right there in her apartment. And I think that's such a fun and fresh idea. It's something that maybe we haven't seen on Y&R before. I'm pretty sure not. And plus, Avery is so clumsy and clunky and unsure of herself outside of the world of the law. I think it would be a really great growth story for her too, to see her go through the process of feeling unsure about herself and then in the end just totally dominating and having this really awesome show and maybe even becoming a celebrity. I love it. I think she's really cute, and especially since she's like stressing out hardcore about this TV producer coming to town. What's she gonna cook? What's she gonna wear? And she's worried that she's gonna mess up, trip all over the place, which you know she is. And there was this really funny scene where Dylan says something to her like, well, you're not gonna mess up. Do you think Martha Stewart gets it right every time? And she just gives him this needle dagger stare and says, yeah. Which, of course, we all know is correct. Of course it's perfect. Of course. It was just a funny little joke that I appreciated. And if that's any kind of preview of what's to come with this whole cooking show idea, I'm totally in for it. Plus, we have the added layer of knowing that that sex tape is going to come out. She's going to probably get the show. We're going to see her super happy about it. And then next thing you know, the hammer's going to come down. She's going to be completely humiliated. Dylan is going to feel horrible because he's the one that accidentally sent it out, but ultimately I'm sure that they will overcome it. But I think it's something, it's just a little bit fresh. I love that on the video that she submitted to that cooking website, Dylan and her keep going through the comments and looking to see what everyone's saying about it. And there was one comment of someone saying, looking forward to seeing more of you. And Dylan is obviously a little bit paranoid about that. What do they mean about that? But you know it's true. We're going to be seeing a lot more of her. Tyler is going to be moving out of the bachelor pad that he has shared with Noah, and Courtney's going to be moving right in. So Noah and Courtney are taking their relationship to the next step. Tyler and Abby are definitely taking their relationship to the next step. Tyler proposed to Abby out in the middle of the park underneath that beautiful, bright, shining star that he bought for her, which is the lamest, most cheesiest gift ever. I said it when he bought her that stupid star. It's like the gift you would give a 6-year-old. Come on, he bought you a star. It's not romantic, it's cheesy. Or maybe it's me, I don't know. It probably is, because I'm just not feeling this couple. I did hear from a couple of people last week who are enjoying Abby and Tyler, and I think that's cool. I'm glad. I'm struggling with it. I have moments of thinking, oh, Abby looks cute. When Tyler proposed, he gave her the ring, and she was so excited, and the actress just had this bright, huge smile on her face, and I thought that was charming. Maybe I like her better when she's being happy. Maybe the catty thing doesn't come off correctly, or the heiress thing doesn't come off correctly. I want to try to put my finger on what it is that I'm just not feeling about this couple, and it is mostly Abby. I just I don't love her. But right as they got engaged, the Y&R music, the theme music swells over the scene. I want to say this was Monday's show. Even the Y&R music, which usually has this Pavlovian response for me. I mean, as soon as I hear that music, I am in. I am like ready to cry. It's like it pulls the emotional cord right in my chest hearing that song. Even that did not make me interested in Abby and Tyler getting engaged, but at the same time, I perked up shortly after as that big big closing sequence at the end of Monday's show, like it shifted throughout Genoa City. Like the whole song, the whole Y&R theme song plays and it just shifts through all the different situations in Genoa City. It was amazing. It was showing like Chelsea and Victor separately kind of mourning Adam. Chelsea's watching Abby and Tyler in the park. She stumbles upon them, sees them getting engaged and seeing how happy they are, and she's twirling her wedding ring in her hand, thinking about Adam, of course. Shifts over to Victor, who's looking at Adam's nameplate, thinking about his son. You've got Jack sitting at the desk looking at those petition for guardianship papers, and then a picture of Phyllis on his desk, which really shocked me because I don't think we've seen a picture of Michelle Stafford as Phyllis in quite a while, so it's just like, whoa. I mean, even seeing her face felt shocking to me, and dramatic. I was like, damn, a Y&R wrap-up. It was amazing. I mean, you've got Billy leaving the house, realizing that he's gonna break up with Victoria, that it's done, and he just like goes through the house, packs up his bags, like grabs a framed picture of he and Victoria, puts it under his arms, got a suitcase in another arm, and Victoria is holding the door as he walks out. It was so sad. It was so sad. The only person who's gonna be happy is Victor about that whole breakup. But I loved that whole closing sequence. It was so effective. Usually we only hear the main part of the Y&R theme song, what we hear every day in the opening credits, but they played the whole song. I couldn't believe how freaking long it was. That song, like, it went on forever. Chelsea stops by Sharon's house to tell her the news about Adam, and I thought, wow, that's really nice of her. I mean, it was really respectful of the relationship that Sharon and Adam had for once. I loved the Sharon and Adam relationship. It was everything for me, and I did feel it was a little lackluster with Sharon's reaction. Like, I don't feel like Sharon really had the chance to mourn Adam, and so I was so glad, and I was really impressed with Chelsea for going to tell her that. I mean, going to tell his ex-wife. It was respectful, and I wasn't expecting it. And part of me thought, well, gosh, now that Chelsea and Chloe's relationship is like forever damaged, I wonder if maybe Sharon and Chelsea might make good friends. What do you guys think about that? Are they better friends or enemies or neutral? You let me know. Sharon did take the news really hard, and again, I was just kind of glad to see it. Not that I want Sharon in pain or whatever, but I just wanted to see her have some real deep reaction to what happened to this man who meant so very much to her, who did so much to her, did stuff to her. It was a complex relationship, and I want to see and feel and understand her process of going through that. Of course, it is a lot easier to do that in a bathtub full of bubbles with aromatherapy candles and Nick's hands all over your body. It It was wonderful. I had to laugh too because, I mean, all of this is going on and it's so new and I'm so interested. I got a voice message from Gary who also like noted the fact that Sharon has this great bathroom with all new fixtures and it was a new set. That was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, oh my gosh, sexy scene. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, cool bathroom. That was fun. As a matter of fact, I love this. Like, Sharon's in like this bubble bath and she just looks tired and sad and Nick is talking to her, trying to talk her through it and make her feel better. And she's clearly in a very vulnerable place. And oh my gosh, I just cried when he started washing her hair. With that beautiful song playing over the scene, it was clear that she wanted him to do it, and she said he said, he was playing a little coy with it, and she said sometimes it's just more satisfying not to have to ask. Which had so many layers of meaning. So Nick just takes the shampoo bottle and squirts out the hugest glob of shampoo that I've ever seen. I mean, Sharon's got a lot of hair, but like, he squirted out enough to wash a car, for crying out loud. It was so much, but there's like a little bit of comedy in there for me too. But I mean, it was so romantic. I have to, the whole bathroom washing hair scene, it was just one of the greatest things I've seen on Y&R in so long. It was such a simple thing, him just reaching into her hair and washing it and massaging her scalp and doing a little thing for her. It doesn't have to be like these big romantic gestures to keep me interested. That's such a simple, just romantic and loving and helpful and forgiving thing for him to do for her. And it was sexy too. I mean, like, they're all wet. I mean, Nick went right into the bathtub with his pants on and everything, kissing on her and embracing her. It was so sweet and it was deep. It was meaningful. I loved it. I really did. I want to go back and watch it a million more times. The whole thing was so representative of the depth of their relationship. It represented everything, just everything. I was so disappointed though when Nick kind of catches himself enjoying this moment, realizes what he's doing, and he pulls away. He hops up out of the tub with his pants soaking, and he just says, okay, I'm gonna leave you be, do your thing, and we'll go out later. Like, he takes her out to the park, and they decide to talk, and I think she's confused, I'm confused. He goes on to say about how he's worried about hurting her. The last time they made love in the bedroom, he found her passed out on the floor at the end of the steps like a few minutes later. So he's understandably worried about hurting her, but at this point the train has already left the station. I can't go back now. Jill and Colin are searching for more clues on the whole Rachel Berenson, Catherine music box mystery, and it's about so much more than the mystery, really. Colin is telling Jill that he doesn't even really care about this treasure. He has what he wants, and it's her. And there's this point where she hurts her leg, and he starts to rub it, and just really tenderly, and Jill she's practically bubbling over with with sexuality. The tension has been building and she's been so hurt by this man, and I think all she's wanted for so long was just to be loved by him or to be loved by someone, and she feels this push and pull with Colin, push and pull, and so they wind up on the couch making out. Jill gives in to this desire, and it was like another slow, awesome, romantic scene until Esther walks in and ruins everything. She sees them on the couch together and screams like she saw a murder or something. Like it wasn't two people making out on the couch. Esther's scream looked like it was two bloody bodies strewn on the couch. It was so horrified. She ran screaming out of the room, and I laughed so hard when Colin asked her if he could just, oh, by the way, can I just grab a couple of feathers out of your feather duster to use? He's funny. He's charming. I like him a lot. And here I am, totally in it, totally feeling it, thinking, oh, wow, it's not just sex. Like, it's more. Colin and Jill really have something. Those two kids, they really have something. Colin, again, is just reiterating that he loves her, and that's what really matters. He doesn't care about any of this whole fortune that maybe she's going to have. He loves and wants her. And for the first time, Jill admits to herself and to him that she loves and wants him too. And then Colin steps out of the room. Jill's still in the room with Esther, like having a conversation with Esther, saying that she found what she was looking for, and it was Colin. While Colin's out in the hallway on the phone with someone saying, I'll get you the money. Oh, don't worry, I'll get you the money. And then if you look down, he's looking at like a Bonaventure business card. Huh? It's the night of the fashion show, Chelsea's big fashion show, and tensions and stakes and emotions are at an all-time high. There is so much negativity brewing between Chloe and Chelsea. Chloe has already talked to, I think, Michael as her attorney, and she's already thinking that if Chelsea even tries to continue to cut her out of this company that they have together, she's going to sue her. So Chloe is on the offensive. She's on the attack. Chelsea is in the exact opposite place. She's still really, really nursing a very vulnerable wound. And that's not to say that Chloe isn't wounded, but she's lashing out. I think Chelsea is more turning in. She has gone down to the police station at Paul's request to fill out some paperwork, having to do with the fact that they found Adam's body. Chelsea begins to insist that she wants to see the body, that she wants to say goodbye to Adam. And oh my gosh, that scene. I mean, the idea of Adam's badly decomposed body is so grim, and even in thinking of Chelsea standing over it, oh, that's so horrible. And I was like, no, Chelsea, don't do it. You do not want to see that. It's going to be bad. Thank goodness Jack was there. I mean, Victor was there too, but I mean, they're both, everybody's convinced her, no, you do not want to do this. But Jack said something. He said, that body cannot feel you. It can't feel your presence. It can't hear your voice. There's nothing that you can say in front of that body that's going to give you closure. It's only going to make it worse. And I'm so glad that she took that advice. Oh my gosh. She's wanting to do a memorial service for Adam. That's cool. But looking at the body is horrible. I mean, I wonder if she would have looked at the body, would she have known that it wasn't Adam? I don't know. But I'm just so glad that she didn't have to put herself through that. I mean, for all intents and purposes right now, she needs closure on it. But she's still got this whole fashion show going on. I mean, could the timing have been worse? She's going to go view her dead husband's body and then go right to her fashion show for work? So she's late. Of course. The fashion show's going on, Lily's buzzing around being crazy. Kane, everybody's crazy that this fashion show is happening at the athletic club. Meanwhile, Chloe comes in and starts taking charge. She is telling everybody, do this, don't do this. Come on, let's move, people. This is Chloe's business. And there was a brief moment where it reminded me, yeah, Chloe has a reason to be here. I mean, she does provide something valuable to this business, and she has been marginalized. Admittedly, she's done it to herself. But it's just sad how far the relationship between Chelsea and Chloe has devolved, because Chloe was really in charge, and I thought she was doing some good stuff. But Chelsea comes in, and she notices that all of these changes have been made, little things to her line, to her fashion. And I guess to be fair, it was always Chelsea's line. Chlid was kind of there, I think, to support the business end of things. So I think Chelsea had the creative control, but being in a partnership means knowing when to flex, when to be flexible versus when to stand your ground, and all of that has been thrown out the window. Chelsea's upset that all of these changes have been made, and Chloe's like, well, somebody had to make them, you weren't here, and Chelsea tells her, oh, I'm sorry that I wasn't here, but they found Adam's body, and I had to view it, and he's gone. And I think this was a moment where Chelsea was looking for her friend. She wanted to talk to her friend. It wasn't about business. She's so vulnerable right now. And Chlid isn't. She doesn't have it in her to have sympathy for Adam. And in fact, Chlid goes on to say she's happy, pretty much, that Adam's dead. She says he deserves to be dead. I mean, do you know what he did to me? And Chlid has a point. I mean, she was saying, Christmas Day, he told me that Connor didn't need me. I mean, I think I understand what Adam was trying to do. He realized that Chlid was having this unhealthy obsession, but I do think that Adam wanted her out of his face. He wanted to not think about what he had done. So I do think Chlid had a little bit of a point there. The man killed her daughter. For as far as everyone knows, the man killed her daughter, and she has a right to her feelings, but Chlid is totally insensitive toward Chelsea. She has been all along. The friendship just flew out the window the minute that it was discovered that Adam supposedly did this. So they're having this fight with each other. I think they even took it down into the main dining room just to be alone and sort of hash it out. And it's getting really, really intense. Chelsea wanted, you could tell, not to escalate it. She wanted just to try to let it pass and move on with the show, but Chlid just kept digging at her, and I think Chelsea finally just couldn't take it anymore, and she accused Chlid of using Delia to be spiteful toward her. I don't think that's true, but Chlid just smacked her. Just right in the face. Chelsea's standing there holding her face, shocked. Like she did not expect that whatsoever. I did, and I loved it. It totally, all bets are off at that point. It erupts into this big fight. I mean, people are coming down from downstairs to try to hold these two back from each other. Chlid is calling Chelsea a baby killer's wife. Adam's a baby killer, and you're a baby killer's wife. It's pure emotion, pure raw emotion, and Chelsea starts fighting back, and it's, oh my gosh, that they're all over each other. I mean, finally, Chelsea kind of lunges over Chlid. She's got Chlid down in the chair, and they're clearly physically fighting one another, and I mean, it's so incredible. I'm all for it. I'm loving it. I'm like, you know what? Let them go at it. I can't wait for next week to find out what happens. I mean, I'm sure the fight's going to get broken up and the show will go on, but I keep thinking maybe they need to fight. Maybe that's the only way to get through this, to get through the anger, is to act some of it out. I mean, I'm probably terrible, but let's move the fashion show downstairs. We'll put Chlid and Chelsea in a ring, and we'll have the audience, and we'll just watch that instead. Let them fight it out and see who comes out alive. Well, we've got some mixed reactions in our chat, friends, about Lauren's pregnancy. I feel like I heard pretty much half and half. I feel like half of the people were like, Lauren's pregnant, yay, happy, and then half the people were like, no, this is ridiculous. My initial reaction is, no, this is ridiculous, and I'm trying to move a little bit more toward the center. For me, it really was, it's less about her age and just more about the fact that we've been there, done this before. I wanted something different for Michael and Lauren. They have been my favorite couple on the show since the moment they became engaged, and I worry that this pregnancy is going to lead toward heartache, and I'm kind of done with that for them. I want them to be happy. We've gone through a lot of really hard times. We've really challenged Michael and Lauren's relationship within the last year, and there's just this part of me that wants to just give them a break and let them be happy. Let's just, maybe no drama for a little bit. Someone mentioned that Lauren's opening a new boutique. Let's see that. Let's see Michael Michael open up his own law firm with Fen even, or take him on as an apprentice. Like, I'd way rather head in that type of direction rather than where I think it's gonna go. I'll talk about that later, but just, on a purely emotional level, Lauren seems to resent Michael for looking forward to having the empty nest. And I guess I don't understand what's wrong with that. What's wrong with wanting to focus on yourself? Maybe retire. And I know that they're not retiring age yet, but or maybe, just maybe like looking forward to that. I can't imagine having a child at 50, and, being like 60 when they're running around being crazy 10-year-olds. It's not what I would want for myself, but, it's none of my business if that's what, if that's what they want to do. But I just think, oh my gosh, it's okay to wind down. You can wind down. I guess I do like that Y&R is at least addressing the age issue, because at first I thought, oh my gosh, are they just going to try to play this off like Lauren's not 50? That doesn't seem right. But they are. They are talking about it. Lauren is obviously worried. I from my understanding, I think statistically, as a woman's age goes up, there are more risks for birth defects, and I think that's kind of what Michael and Lauren were alluding to when she was saying, Michael, could you love an imperfect child? Maybe it's heading in a direction that's better than I thought it was going to be, because I know that a lot of people do go through that. I think they're saying, what if the child is, I think what they're saying between the lines is, what if our child is born with Down syndrome, or I think that, that goes up, and, what if our child has all of these problems? Are you going to be willing, Michael and Lauren, to deal with this? And that's a legitimate storyline. I think that's something that people can relate to, and I think maybe that's more what I'm looking for. Is it feels like Y&R has made all of these crazy storylines, especially like the Carmine stuff, and it's become a little less relatable. And I guess, I know it's a soap, of course. I know what I'm watching. I know what I'm dealing with here, but I don't like it to be too wacky. I want to be able to identify with what's going on the screen. I think I'm a very empathetic person. That's kind of what I do here, and so I want to be able to connect in with whatever's going on. So, if Lauren does carry to term, and it seems like, she is pregnant, of course I want her to be happy. Of course, I want the baby to be healthy. But here's the thing. I am worried that we're headed down a path that we've already been down. Lauren had Scotty, which I don't know where he is, by the way, but for years and years, she had to skirt around hiding this child from Sheila. She's always been a tortured character, which I just have been so tired of. The Lauren Sheila thing, it just wore out on me. And when it wasn't Sheila anymore, it was Sheila's stupid sister, and it's just like, I'm just done with that. Let's move on. I want strong Lauren. So what worries me is that she's gonna have another, and the same thing happened with Fen. As soon as she had Fen, she was like, I hope this doesn't happen again with Sheila or whatever. So now she has another kid. The thing that kills me is I just Carmine's gonna end up stealing that baby. Y&R loves baby stealings. Connor's already been stolen twice. If she carries to term, Carmine's gonna come through and steal the baby. And I don't want to see it. Maybe that's not it. These are my fingers being crossed for that not being it. So Lauren's at the fashion show, and she's feeling a little woozy, and Michael witnesses it, and she kind of almost faints, and he literally picks her up, carries her out, and is going to take her to the emergency room, and I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's going to go, I'm thinking two ways it could possibly go. I just wonder if maybe she's not actually pregnant. I wonder if it's something else being wrong. Something in my gut is still saying, because this is happening so quick, that maybe she's not actually pregnant. That maybe when they take her to the emergency room, because she didn't have an official test, she did a home test. Those can be wrong, right? So I'm thinking maybe they'll take her to the emergency room and she'll get a pregnancy test, and they'll tell her, it's not actually pregnancy, you're going through this or that, which no, there's no, if they would have said, if Y&R would have somehow come up with, Lauren's gonna have a health scare now, she's got cancer or some crap, I would be equally as blah. I guess I didn't mean to make it sound like A baby is on the level with cancer. God, I'm digging myself a hole here. But it's just more like, I shouldn't have said cancer, but like a health thing, a health challenge. Like, I don't want a challenge for Lauren right now. I kind of want to see her be happy. That's the whole summary of how I'm feeling about this. I just want to see Lauren and Michael be happy. I love them. So I'm wondering if she's gonna go to the hospital, get a pregnancy test, find out she's not actually pregnant, or gosh, I'm afraid, and I hope it's not the case, that she goes to the hospital and she has a miscarriage. Because if she is actually pregnant and she loses the baby, I'm gonna feel awful, and I don't want to feel awful. The Lily and Hilary feud is on. It could even be bigger for me. I wouldn't mind seeing them hate each other even more. The weird, odd little factor here now is Esmeralda. She is a diva, that's for sure. I guess I could maybe even see more of her. Maybe I kind of like Esmeralda. I don't know. Okay, Beyonce, come on the show. She will not deal with this whole real people on the runway thing at the fashion show. She's afraid it will ruin her reputation having to walk down that runway with real people. Lily's like, Devon, tell your diva girlfriend to get over it. I kind of enjoyed it. Hilary interrupts this whole thing going on, and she tries to put Lily in her place, and it's just bicker. Hilary goes upstairs to try on her dress for the fashion show, and Devon walks in the room and sees her standing there in her bra and panties, and he's like standing there apologizing for accidentally walking in on her, but he's got his eyes and his mouth wide open at the same time. If you really felt sorry about it, Devon, maybe you could be like, oh gosh, sorry, close my eyes, turn around, walk out the room. But instead he stands there having a conversation with her. I think that says everything that needs to be said. Lily walks in on him, kind of sees what's just happened, and she's not having it. She gives Esmeralda a call and kind of promotes her, and you're the new star of the runway. Devon's eyes will be all over you. Lily's trying to promote this relationship between him and Esmeralda, even though she's not an ideal choice. She just doesn't want Hilary anywhere near Devon, although I don't think Devon's the one she's going to have to worry about. Gosh, they prior to the fashion show, there was this meeting where Kane and Hilary were both in attendance, and Kane was being super rude to Hilary throughout the whole thing, just really kind of calling her out about her bickering with Lily, as if Lily wasn't the one that's instigating it. I think Hilary's been pretty patient, and she's been pretty, like, friendly. It seems like it's more Lily who wants to fan the flames, but afterward, Kane and Hilary have a good moment where they sort of bond a little bit. Hilary says, don't you think, yes, I did something bad, but look at how good I've been. Can you not just give me a little bit of a benefit of the doubt? And Kane is very rational about the whole thing, and he agrees that she deserves another chance, but Lily is not going to appreciate that. Neil gets a text from Leslie, and she wants to meet with him. They meet in the park, and Neil admits, like, I have to tell you, Leslie, I let you think that I was going away on a romantic vacation with a woman when she saw him going off with Hilary to The Price is Right. But no, it was a business trip, and I want to be honest with you about that. We've been close, and I want you to know the truth. And Leslie says, yeah, I've got something to tell you. And I'm thinking, I love you. Is it going to be I love you? Is it going to be I want you back? No. Leslie got married. She met a guy online, and 3 weeks later, she's in Vegas marrying him. Was she drunk? What? I mean, this is the shocker of the week for me. Everything else that happened was good, but this was the moment where I'm looking at the show like, what just happened? What? what just happened? I could not believe it. I mean, my eyes were wide at the screen. I'm so surprised. Connor had called into my voicemail. Exact same reaction. I think everybody, if you watch YNR, you're probably shocked right now about that whole thing. But Connor had mentioned in his voicemail that he thinks they're probably going to bring this guy on, whoever Leslie's new husband is, and like maybe have him come into a feud with Neil. Is that what you guys think? Are you seeing that in the future? Have you heard any casting updates that might support that? Because otherwise, what are they going to do? Keep Leslie on the show and then just have her have some off-screen husband that nobody knows anything about? I don't understand. I don't understand you, Leslie. I was so interested in her when this whole thing went down, and like she's independent and she doesn't want to get married, and I can love you without marrying you. And I was with her. I was like, yeah, I kind of get it. Independent. This is interesting. And now I've totally lost my ability to connect with her. I don't get it at all. I don't understand why she would tell Neil. I don't even know why she would tell him. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to tell him. I guess I would just try not to tell him. It's embarrassing. I mean, I guess she thought she was doing the right thing. She seems convinced that she's in a real relationship with some guy that she married, that she met online after 3 weeks. There's no way that's gonna last. I mean, what a slap in the face to Neil. I mean, after everything that she said about being an independent woman and this and that, and she did, in her defense, I guess, say something like, I thought I knew myself, but I didn't. Yeah, me too. I thought I knew you too. I mean, she met this guy, and apparently he was so freaking charming that she was able to throw all of her morals and everything she knew about herself out the window. I can't believe it. I mean, the summary of this whole thing is, Neil standing there shock-faced saying, okay, wow, I get it. You had no problem with marriage. You just didn't want to marry me. Yeah, it seems so. It seems so. I don't know what to do with this information. I think Neil doesn't know what to do with this information. He goes back to the office, tells his new best friend Hilary everything. She's trying to pump him up, trying to make him feel better. You're a good man. And they end up kissing. Neil's going on about how, a relationship shouldn't happen fast in 3 weeks. It should be slow and it should build. And then he's kissing her. Does anybody else feel like the Neil-Hilary romance, kiss happened out of nowhere? I feel like they had 1 week together where they went off on that vacation, but everything else has just been friendly and more mentor-ish. The kiss was too weird. No. It just felt to me like Neil was kissing his daughter or something. Okay, everybody. I think that's all I have to say. I've said a lot. A lot has happened. When's May sweeps? Should be coming up soon within the next few weeks, right? So we're getting some hot storylines, and I think we're building towards some hot, peaks, I guess. Why don't you guys let me know what you feel about the show? I love getting all of my YouTube comments, all of the comments from my website. I really appreciate it. I love hearing from you guys. It totally lights me up and makes me think about things that I don't otherwise. I'm watching it in my own little universe, and it really helps to get an idea of what everybody else is thinking too, because I don't seek it out. I mean, I don't go to YNR forums, so you guys totally give me that. You give me the scoop on how everybody else is feeling. So please feel free to leave me your comments. You can also go to my website at yrchat.com. You can leave comments there. You can leave a voicemail through there, or you can call me directly to leave a voicemail. My number is area code 309-588-4569. Please feel free. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.